All right, hey folks, today we're gonna be talking about the Keltec RDB. RDB? Yeah, I get confused between the RDB and the RFB, but okay, so the RDB, right? This thing, it's the 5.56 bullpup that Keltec makes, and you can see I got a PMAG 40 rounder in there. So just to show you that it can fit those, and it actually will still fit and operate just fine. So anyway, why did I even do something like this? So I've been curious about bullpups for quite a little bit now, and all the options out there were more or less unsatisfactory for me because I am a cross-eye dominant shooter, right? So I'm right-handed but left-eye dominant, and that makes shooting bullpups just a little bit difficult because I end up having to shoot rifles with my left hand, right? And of course, anyone that knows anything about bullpups, the ejection pattern is very important for how those operate. So I've tried Tavors, I've tried AUGs. I even tried a Desert Tech MDR, which I did not like at all. I tried a Hellion, which I also didn't like very much. So there wasn't really a whole lot of good options out there for a bullpup type setup that didn't require some kind of weird finagling to where, sure, maybe some of them you could set it up for left-hand use, but then I hand it to somebody else who isn't left-handed and they just like can't use it, right? So that was kind of annoying. But the other option out there was Keltec, because their design is a little interesting, and that the shells empties come out here at the bottom, right, instead of flying out left or right. So that's a pretty unique feature. And I did want to stick in 5.56. I didn't want to try 308 or anything like that. And I also kind of thought, these look kind of cool. They've been out quite a while now, and there isn't really a whole lot said about these as far as like their reliability or durability, anything like that, quality, so on and so forth. Like people kind of have them and they're just kind of there, and I guess some people even enjoy them. Kind of like a lot of Keltec products. People aren't, singing praises from the rooftops about the immensely high quality of these things, which this definitely feels like a Keltec product. Like the plastic they use, just the sheer amount of like bolts and just it's very Keltec. Okay. That being said, there is quite a number of reviews on these things out there, and I think actually Nutnfancy's review on these and the survival version of this is actually pretty spot on, to be honest, and his experiences mirrored my own in some ways. So when I first got this, I will say actually the trigger is actually quite good for a bullpup. It's not super great or anything. It's not like as good as like some nice AR triggers or anything, but it's definitely serviceable and it's decently light. The ergonomics are interesting to say the least. As with any bullpup, it's very much a matter of personal preference on what you like. So I switched the charging handle, so you can see it's on this side now versus the other side that it comes from the factory here, because they designed it with right-handers in mind, so they can charge it from this side of the gun. But of course I shoot with left hand, so I wanted it on this side. So that works out for me. But it also works out as well if I want to shoot right hand, because you're gonna lock this open, right? Tabs up here. Even with right hand, I'm very used to things being kind of locked open like that. You can do a kind of pseudo kind of HK slap here and just hit the charging handle. Ooh, that's loud. Like that. And it's no real big issue for me to come over the top here either and lock it open like this. Even with the right hand, it's not a huge deal. So ergonomically speaking, I think it works out okay. I don't think it's great. Safety is also okay. 45-degree angle, nothing crazy there. What I don't like is the bolt release. So it's kind of hard to see, but this little tab here, and it's on both sides, is the bolt release. So when it's locked open, you can take your hand like this over the top and kind of push down on it. I found that to be almost unserviceably stiff, incredibly stiff, very, very hard to use, and there's not really much reason for it anyways, because I can't really think of a reason why I would need to drop the bolt on this anyways. Because I can do everything here with the charging handle, so not really much use for it, but it's there if you need it. And the mag release is of course right here, which I think is very janky, because you look at the construction of this, it's literally a piece of basically like spring steel that just literally rides in that groove, and the only way it releases is just by bending the metal out. Like there's no spring in there as far as I know. It's just the actual sheet metal itself. So that is very Keltec, I will say. Does it work? Yes, it does. Is it unusual? Yes. So that locks in there, and I like being able to just kind of press forward, press back, and then take the mag out like that. It actually works better than I expected it to, so that's pretty cool. Took some getting used to the manual of arms for sure, because bullpups they're all different, and the buttons and things are all located in different places. Of course, that took a little while to get used to. As far as like build quality and things like that, this definitely did have a bit of a break-in period, I would say. The first 100 rounds or so, I had light strikes. I had a few jams here and there, and I also had difficulties with seating magazines in, because for some reason, whatever magazine I used, it would not. I put it in like this, and it wouldn't seat in. I had to actually hit it to make sure it would actually seat correctly. Because I remember the very first shot that I took with this, with the included 20-round PMag. First shot, the magazine just fell right out of the bottom, and I was like, okay, that's a good start. So now this catch did work a lot better after that 100 rounds, and I put this through a few iterations of cycling and everything, and now the mag catch works just fine with all my magazines, including metal ones too. So that's pretty good, because I was initially worried about the dimensions here of the mag while only working with like PMags or polymer mags or some kind of specific magazine, rather than being able to take all the Stand-Ag mags, right? So all of my Stand-Ag mags do work in this. That was pretty cool. The jams I got also were a little annoying to clear. I essentially just had to rack the action and just shake this pretty violently until it could fall out of the bottom here. And that's a problem endemic with a lot of bullpups. It's hard to get up into the action up here to figure out what's going on. So, what else? So, the operating system on this is also very, it's kind of like a weird hybrid. So some people will say it's a short stroke piston, some say it's a long stroke piston, and Keltec, I think, says it's a kind of a combination of the two. And let me see if I can illustrate that for you. So I'll take my handy dandy drawing here. So here we have essentially what the bolt and bolt carrier look like. And if you think that, oh, this looks very much like a AR-18 derivative, it kind of is in a way, but this entire piston here, this whole thing reciprocates backwards, and it's attached to a rotating bolt here that looks very much like an AR bolt. It has the lugs all around the outside, of course firing pin back here, and it has this really long recoil spring assembly back here. It's this big long piece, and you can mess with it, and it's stuck inside this metal rod here essentially. So this, you can see also if you watch like slow-mo videos of this, you can see this entire carrier moving back and forth. It's not a little piston up here at the gas port that impinges on something and pushes that back. It's the whole thing. So that's a pretty interesting setup they have for this, and you can absolutely feel that in the recoil when this thing goes off. It feels like a 5.56 AK to me. So if you shot 5.56 AKs, 5.45 AKs, and kind of how it feels and how it moves, the impulse of it, it's very, very similar to this. So it's an interesting system. Other than the break-in period, I haven't had any reliability issues with anything. So I also haven't messed with the gas settings, because it is an adjustable gas. You can see that up here at the gas port right there. You can change it to different options. I never felt the need to mess with it. I felt it was fine. I didn't put a suppressor on it, of course, but if you wanted to do that, you absolutely could. I imagine there would be a lot of gas coming out essentially right here at the front if you overgas it or something like that. So yeah, it is interesting that this kind of, the front of the carrier there is so exposed. I didn't really have an issue with that. I just think it was kind of interesting. So that's the operating system for it. It's quite interesting. Now the other thing too, when I took this apart, so the takedown for this is actually kind of a pain in the ass. There's 4 pins that you have to hit here. So let me see if I can even remember where they are. There's one here for the handguard, center pin here, another pin back here, and then one back here. So essentially the gun will split into basically 3 or 4 parts. Handguard, the barrel assembly, the top cover here, and then the lower receiver itself, and that will all come apart. Getting these pins out the first time, I had to get a punch to get them out, so that's good. They're nice and tight, but still kind of a pain. This is not a quick takedown by any means. Servicing it and maintenance and all that's really not too bad. Taking the bolt apart for cleaning, getting the firing pin out is pretty easy to do. If you've ever handled any kind of AR-18 derivative short stroke gas piston type, it's very similar. It feels very similar. The interesting thing that got me too is when I first took this apart, I didn't realize exactly where the hammer was or how it was firing. So I was like, where the heck is the hammer? Because I'm used to there being like a normal like solid hammer that just goes back and forth. So I pulled the trigger when I had it apart, unfortunately, to figure out where it was, and I found out very quickly where it was. So in the very rear of the receiver, the hammer is actually this piece. So if you look down at it, you'll see that there is a U shape, kind of horseshoe shape like this, and it has a few like little sharp pieces here. That's the hammer, because what it does is the firing pin essentially gets hit by this part right here in the center, about right there. And I guess this U-shaped hammer has enough mass power from the hammer spring and everything to actually reliably detonate cartridges. So that part will hit basically right back there. So that is a very interesting type of setup. I've never seen a hammer like that in any rifle, really. So I guess it kind of goes with the sheer craziness engineering that Keltec does for these kinds of things, and I guess how they were able to get the ejection to work in this way is that you probably couldn't do that if you had just a regular linear regular hammer. You had to do something creative with that. So that's what they did. They created a horseshoe type hammer to hit it like that, and that's pretty cool. Shooting experience. So like I said, the trigger was just okay. It's decently light. There's not really like a noticeable wall or anything. I would never call this a match trigger by any means, but serviceable and decently fun to shoot. The other thing is recoil impulse and just how loud this thing is, because with bullpups, of course, the action's all back here, so you're feeling everything that's going on in here. And so even if it is a 5.56, it's not punishing recoil by any means. It's just it will rattle your teeth in your cheek quite a little bit, because again, that entire mass of the bolt carrier is going extremely fast in here. So you're going to be feeling that. It's going to be jumpy. It's going to move around a bit. And then of course with the barrel length and everything, I got the shorter barrel length here. I forget how long this is. It might be the 16 or 18. I forget exactly what the length is, but it's quite blasty. Even with the little A2 flash hider on there, it's blasty. It's noisy. But yeah, overall it's noisy. It will rattle your teeth just a little bit. So after like long firing sessions, if you're putting 200-300 rounds, 500 rounds through this in a sitting, you're gonna feel it in your teeth and your cheek just a little bit. I wouldn't say it's like unbearable, but it's uncomfortable to say the least. So and also of course the handguard up here, this is all plastic. There's no heat shielding, there's no metal or anything in this. It's all plastic. So I did encounter times where I was outside in an outdoor range in the heat in the summer, and I'd be going maybe 80, 100 rounds somewhere in there, and this handguard was getting pretty toasty, honestly. And of course it's all black, so it absorbs that heat quite well. So heat could be an issue, but then again, I don't really think people are going to be putting magazine after magazine after magazine through one of these guns. At least I hope not for any practical defensive use. It is a lightweight profile barrel, as you can see in there. I wouldn't exactly call it like a super pencil barrel or anything, not like that lightweight AR upper that I reviewed just recently. But it's definitely not your standard profile or government profile heavy barrel, something like that. It's pretty light, which I actually enjoy because it keeps the overall weight of this gun down. And speaking of weight, actually, I will say I think this balances quite well as far as like the center of gravity and how you can hold it in your shoulder and all that. It's not super lightweight. Like, of course, if you have an AR with a 16-inch barrel, you can make them much lighter than this, definitely. But for the form factor, this isn't bad. Because with Tavors, for instance, Tavors I always felt like were extremely back heavy, to where if I try to hold it in my shoulder like this, I kept feeling like it wanted to just do this, because all the weight is just here in the back, so it just wanted to slide. And I had to really work to keep it up like this, and just never liked Tavors very much because of that. Augs also tended to be just overall very heavy for what they were. I don't know. Great guns. There's nothing wrong with them. But I think for what they offer, I think the weight is just a little much. And then, of course, when I tried a Desert Tech, God, that thing's absolutely terrible. I mean, this is years ago when Carl Casarda, oh gosh, I can't remember his last. Anyway, Carl from InRange, he was at the range that day when I was there for a shoot or something, and he was trying one of the prototype Desert Tech bullpups, and that thing was hot garbage. It was not working for him. And when I held it and I felt the handguard up there, I could literally feel just the weight of it pushing the handguard up, and it was, oh god, it was awful. And of course we see that now today, where nobody wants one and nobody has one because they're not great. But anyway, and then of course the Hellion, when I picked that up, god, that thing was an absolute clutch. It was just like, it feels like a gigantic gun. It's very heavy. You know, it worked great. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just felt like a clutch to me. So this definitely feels a little more trim, a little more compact, not as heavy. Then of course, you know, there's a lot of plastic in this. So what are you gonna do, right? Typical Keltec, making everything out of plastic, but you know, it kind of works in this way. It's no shade at them. So as far as accuracy goes, basically what Nutnfancy got off of his example, about 2 MOA, is about what I got with this. And I shot this with a magnified optic and match ammo, nice ammo and everything at 100 yards, and that's about what I was getting. Occasionally I'd get something like 1.9 MOA, 5-shot group if I was really doing really good. But different kinds of M193, 55 grain ball stuff, I was getting anywhere from 2 to 2.5, 3 MOA. You know, which is about to be expected for something like this. So again, not stellar accuracy, but not unserviceable either. You know, about your standard issue service rifle can do about the same. So yeah. Overall, I mean, I think this bullpup definitely does do the bullpup things that I wanted it to do, and that is to be fully ambidextrous capable, at least for me. You know, with my wrong-handedness shooting. And, you know, aside from the few early break-in things that I had with it, like light primer strikes, getting jams, magazines not sitting, things like that, in the first 100 rounds or so, this thing's actually performed just fine. I haven't had any jams or issues since. I've used all kinds of magazines, ammo, blah. But overall, I would not say this is necessarily a super pleasant thing to shoot for a few reasons. And, you know, it has fulfilled the bullpup experiment for me. So I think this is the first and last bullpup that I will probably ever buy. I just don't see much reason or point to them. I mean, sure, the form factor is very cool. They do look very cool. Like when I put a carry handle iron sight on this with the front sight, it looked really cool. And it kind of reminds me of like the Halo battle rifle. Looks very similar to that. And I even think there's some people who did mock-ups for like 3D printed stuff that has taken the RDB here as the base chassis basically for it, and they've made, you know, all different kinds of your favorite sci-fi universe bullpup. I'm sure this has been used for a template for that for quite a few reasons. So yeah, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I needed to get that bullpup scratch or itch scratched right, and yeah, it works. I wouldn't say there's nothing like super duper exceptional about it that makes me go, oh my gosh, wow. But I think that's the case with pretty much every bullpup out there. Like, you want them to be good, but when it just comes to everything else, like, I mean, if you watch Hop's videos on bullpups, Nutnfancy's videos on bullpups, anybody's videos on bullpups, they pretty much come to the same conclusion that they're cool. They do have a small form factor. But overall, weight, shooting experience, accuracy, reliability, all that stuff, it just doesn't do anything better than your run-of-the-mill AR, you know? So if you really don't care or don't really need this uber small form factor like this, there's nothing really to justify it. So, yeah, so a neat thought experiment, and I'm glad it did work out pretty well. But ultimately, yeah, it's a Keltec RDB. So what else is there to say? Yeah, so it's cool, it's neat. I'm glad I got to try it, and but yeah, it's be something to bring out and just kind of, yeah, if I want to shoot something different in 5.56 that isn't an AR, because we all have that itch, you know. I would think from time to time. So, and the thing too is these things are very reasonably priced. If you try to find another bullpup out there that's about the same price as these are, I mean, these things change in price quite a bit, but you will not find another bullpup that is, I guess, this good in terms of like shooting performance and things like that for the price point. You won't. Like AUGs are out there for, you know, $2,000 bucks. The MDRs are even more expensive. Tavors are about $1,500, $1,600, $2,000, whatever, right? Whatever proper bullpup you run into will definitely not be as cheap as this. So that is a good point in Keltec's favor. So I'm glad they were able to make something that is actually, you know, not bad at all for the price point. So yeah, I've had this one in for just a little while now, and just haven't done the review until now. But yeah, there you go. If you're looking to get one of these things, I guess say tailor your expectations. This isn't going to like blow your mind. It isn't going to do anything better than your regular ARs will, but it's something different, and you know, it's fun. It's decently fun, and it is pretty handy and small. So if you do have a use case for something that is, you know, this small and compact, you know, by all means, yeah, go for it. And you know, I actually do kind of like the fact that I could, you know, hold it up in the shoulder like this with one hand, like a more like, I guess, more traditional pistol grip. You know, like you could fire it like this all day long. You don't have to have your hand up here. You don't have to have it any kind of where, you know, just like this. You could do that. So for whatever kind of CQB use case you have, you know, backpacking, something like that, could be a decent argument for it. So yeah. Anywho, that's the Keltec RDB. These things are pretty cool, pretty nifty, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. And we'll see you next time.